Yo, what's up, guys? Turn here back with a brand new video. Today we're going to be recapping the Major 3 that just happened in Toronto. We're going to be recapping the pro side of it. I wanted to do a challenger video, but I don't think we're going to be doing that today. So, I think we're just going to go ahead and get right into it and talk about some of the teams that probably need to make a change before the next Major, and just kind of recap what happened during the tournament. So yeah, let's get right into it. So, looking at Major 2, obviously, Seattle won, which was, I think, huge for the likes of Max, Sib, and Pred. Obviously, this isn't Max's first win. He did get one in MW. Um, but I think this event's a little different just because MW was online and just things like that. It also is huge for their seeding. Sib and Pred are the rookies, so they got the first one under their belt, and I think they're looking good going towards the latter half of the year. I think it's super important for them. Um, as far as Pred goes, Pred is the first Australian player to win a tournament, which is actually nuts if you think about it, because we have had some good teams before. Um, it's just like Mind Freak back in the day, but yeah. So I think that's huge for him and just huge for that region in general. Um, looking more towards the team following them with Atlanta FaZe, this is their third finals, and they have lost all three this year. So I think for them, I think it's not super concerning because they are probably one of the most dominant rosters we've seen in COD since the Optic Dynasty, but it is pretty concerning. Um, you're not used to players like Simp, Celium, BZ, and Arcides, uh, getting to finals and losing them repeatedly. I think that's probably super frustrating for them. There was a tweet that came out from I think Tupac's girlfriend about a BZ not grinding the game, so that could be a factor. Not wanting to grind the game because I will be honest with you guys, the game is not great, but it it's honestly not that surprising. Um, just because of the fact that the way the game is, and it seems like a different team's gonna win a different tournament or win a tournament. Like you never really see the same team win two tournaments this year, which is crazy compared to games we've had in the past where the likes of Atlanta FaZe were dominant throughout the whole year. But yeah, so I think from them, I think they're. I mean, obviously you can say they're almost there, but I think they need to just invest a little more time into their game, which I'm sure they're already doing. But that's kind of the only logical reason I could think. The roster's pretty talented, so there's not really another issue I think you could bring up without actually knowing what's going on inside of that camp. But yeah, so uh, Toronto Ultra placed third. Obviously, it was their home major, but I think they looked a lot better. Um, I think it'll be really interesting to see if they kind of keep this form up because with their own major, it was kind of uh, maybe something that would give them motivation. So I think that helped out a lot. I also think the crowd was a huge help to the Toronto team. But Kleenex, Insight, Cammy, they were playing really, really well. Vince as well. I mean, that guy always clutches up. So I think they're looking closer to what they were in Cold War, which I think is really good for them because a lot of people had questions on whether, you have Scrappy sitting on the bench and he's probably the best amateur player right now. Uh, I think he's undoubtedly the best amateur player, but he's sitting on your bench, so I think that gave Insight and Cammy some fire to start performing. I think that was huge for them. As far as the LA Thieves go, I think they played well. I think Kenny kind of returned to the form we wanted to see from him. But if I'm being honest, I still think this is a team that should make a change. I don't think a roster with this much talent. I mean, you think about Kenny Octane, Envoy, and Jiraza. Like, I mean, outside of Jiraza, which is extremely talented, the other three have been proven to be super fucking talented. If you look at BO4 and you look at World War II and just games like that, um, for these teams, it's kind of crazy that they're placing this low. Um, fourth is good for them, but like that's not really what they expected. Um, and I think that it is a step in the right direction. I don't think it's a great one. So talking about who they could bring in, I mean, I think it's kind of the same issue I'm going to get into with Florida, but I think that Draza, Kenny, and Octane, I don't know if they'll really work on the same team because I think you still need a sub player. So who you sub out there, I don't think it really matters. I think either way, I mean, I think it's just going to be helpful. I think it's going to bring a lot of pace. I would start by looking at Pentagram because he is on your bench. In terms of challenger talent in subs, there's a lot less than there has been in previous years. You kind of missed out on all of them already. You had Kismet, you had Havoc, and all these players. You also could be looking for a loan from another team. I know this is something that Aches has talked about a lot recently. I mean, if you get Hydra off NY, that's huge for you, I think. But yeah. So moving off of them, Sky's Awakening, Dave Petty, Vivid. Fifth is not bad for this team, but I think with the way Skies and Awakening have been playing, and Vivid also super solid. I think it's kind of a teller. I'm sure you guys have heard this before. Like Dave Patty has the least engagements for any AR in the league, which is an issue, a major issue. I can tell you that just by playing this game. Like your AR players need to be frying. They need to be in engagements. They cannot just be out of the play. Dropping the silent 1.2s with 20 and 19 a map. That's just not acceptable. Um, so I think for them, I think you need to speed up the pace the same way that Rocker did when they dropped Major Maniac, which I would make an argument that probably wasn't a good decision. But we'll move on to Optic Texas. But for for Florida, I think Yeez is the first person you look at. I think you just bring him in. For what player? Probably sub out Dave Fatty, move Skies to main air, Awakening to flex, and I think you're solid. For Optic, I mean, I don't think his Optic team makes a change. I think you're still in that limbo period, waiting for Illy to come back. I think it's really tough, but I think Proloot definitely showed that he deserves a spot on some of these teams. Florida is another team that he could go to. I think if you're looking at it from Boston's perspective, that could also be a team. LAG as well. But I think if I'm some of these teams, knowing that Paris and New York are pretty much non-guaranteed to be at champs, I would start calling these teams and trying to get their players off of it. At least for the rest of the year, maybe a loan situation. But yeah. For Optic, I think you just wait till LA comes back and you're solid. You have a good player in Prelude. So I don't think they should really make a change. Rocker, kind of an interesting one. Um, I think you make a change, and I'm not. I think it's probably either for Priesta or the argument could be made Standy, although I probably wouldn't go with that one. I think you just need a. If you can get your hands on a player like Scrappy, I think you go ahead and do that. I think he's talented, super talented. He's on Toronto's bench. I think Toronto might let him go with the way Toronto's looking now. So I think if you're Rocker, you probably give them a call. Moving on to London. With London, they want an all EU team. So, I mean, I think maybe you bring back the likes of Gizmo. And to be honest, I think a lot of people are thinking that you take out Harry. But I think long term, I think the decision I would make would probably be to put Gizmo in for zero and then just roll out a young roster that you can build on in the future. All these players are super talented new challengers. I think that'd probably be your best option. Paris, I'm not even gonna go into because they are out of out of the race for champs, so I'm not gonna talk about them. Same with New York. Um, I might touch on them briefly, but Boston, I think it's interesting because I'm not sure what move you make, but I mean it's the same thing again with like Scrappy. Uh, if you can get your hands on Scrappy, I think you do it. Uh, for TJ, just because I think that by having a better flex, you already kind of invested so much into Nero and Cap, and there's not many better subs left in Challenger, so I think you just go ahead and trying to get like a Scrappy or a Spart or something of that nature. I think that would benefit them a lot. Yeah, that's where I would go with the move at least. I think if you're LAG, I think you need to make a bigger change. You obviously won Major 2. I think you either bring Spart back in and try and sell Gunless off to one of these other teams, and just get an environment change because obviously what you're doing right now is not working. And then I think you also swap out one of the subs. I think this is another team that should be calling New York um, heavily. I think that they could benefit from a player like a Hydra working along with Asim, who was his teammate in the past, and they were very good together in Cold War, in my opinion. Um, and I think, you know, it might be hard to kind of see that happen because obviously Hook is well decorated in terms of event wins and stuff like that. I think it could be easy to sell him to another team as well, though. I think maybe Florida would be a good option for him. And that could be something you could build with long term with guys that are very talented, just kind of need some direction. But yeah, so um, as far as the major goes, I think Seattle made a huge swing in the point standings. I think we kind of got what we expected from Atlanta. Toronto turned up. I think Thieves got a fourth, but I'm not sure how impressive it is. Just because Optic does have a substitute. And I think for New York, I think this was tragic. Um, I mean, you were looking really good online. You come to LAN and get smoked, and now you can't make champs. So, if I'm them, I think that's an issue. And I'm probably trying to think long term now. And maybe get some new guys in. Uh, I think Pollux and Hydra, I would probably try to lock them up if I were them. Kismet, I think, played very well as well. But obviously, I think there could be an upgrade for him. If you when roster mania happens this off season. But yeah, so I think it's gonna wrap up my major 3 video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Do you guys want to see more stuff like this? I will be putting out more gameplay uh soon, I think, just because I think it's more interesting to see kind of gameplay than breakdown videos. But you guys just let me know what you want in the comments, and I will make sure I get that video uploaded. But thank you guys for watching the video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and let me know down in the comments what you guys want to see next. I will see you guys in the next one.